Here we have a mixture word problem. It's one of the most difficult problems that we're going to have in algebra pretty much. But what I want you to do is pause the video at this time. Go ahead and read the problem to yourself. What we're going to do is we're going to organize our information. We're multiplying our percentages by our amounts. So I'm going to write down all my percentages on the left and all my amounts in milliliters on the right. So it says we're adding a 10% saline solution to 15% saline solution. I don't want to write them as percentages. It's not going to do me any good, so I'm going to write it as a decimal. So here's 0.10 is 10%, and we're adding that to 15%, 0.15. So I'm going to show you that I'm adding. We're going to do vertical addition. I'm going to rewrite it horizontally so I can figure it out, but just to give you a visual, we're going to end up with a 12% solution, so it's going to equal 0.12. And what we'll do here is we'll multiply each of the decimals by milliliters. So it says we're going to end up with 100 milliliters of the 12% solution. So that 100 is going to be multiplied by the 0.12 for the 12%. And it's asking us how much of the 10% saline solution. So we got to figure out X, how much is 10%? The hardest part right here for me, and for most people as well, is figuring out what goes in here. I know that whatever these two numbers are, they have to add to be 100. So we can rewrite it as 100 minus X. Because when we add X to 100 minus X, we get 100 left over. So here's what we have. We have our percentages multiplied by our milliliters. We're adding the 10% and 15%, and we're going to end up with the 12%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this whole thing horizontally. That way I can figure out my answer. So that's going to be 0.10x, because we're multiplying, plus 0.15, 100 minus x, equals 0.12 times 100. What we're going to do is we're going to simplify and get x by itself. So when I simplify, what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute my 0.15 to my 100 and my x. So that gives me plus 15 minus 0.15x equals, I'm going to go ahead and multiply, 0.12 times 100 is 12. Because my x values are on the same side of my equation, I'm going to combine my like terms. When you combine them, you end up with negative 0.05x plus 15 equals 12. We subtract to get 15, or we subtract 15 on both sides. So these 15s go away. We end up with negative 0.05. X equals negative 3. If we divide both sides by negative 0.05, see how we have a negative divided by a negative? It should always work out perfectly like that, so our x is a nice positive number. Once you've plugged this into your calculator, you're going to get that your x equals 60. And that's going to be 60 milliliters. That's your answer A. So the idea is we took 60 milliliters of the 10% solution. This number right here is 40 milliliters, and that's what we got, and added up to get the 100 milliliters.